Okay guys, today we got some big news regarding the 90s Spider-Man show, which is beloved across the board from fans alike. It is a cult classic. A lot of people love this show, but it could potentially be making a return, potentially the same way that X-Men 97 is coming back and premiering on Disney Plus on March 20th. A lot of people are excited for the show, but what does this have to do with a return for the 90s animated Spider-Man series? Well, I will tell you why. Essentially, the 90s Spider-Man series and the X-Men animated series from the 90s as well, two heavy-hitting shows of the 90s and big boost for those characters, especially the X-Men in popularity. They were both in the same universe. In fact, they both crossed over with each other on multiple occasions. However, the most notorious crossover for both of those shows was definitely the Secret Wars storyline from the end of the 90s animated Spider-Man series. This basically saw Peter Parker get thrown into Battle World by the Beyonder and Madam Web, and essentially he had to pick a few heroes to battle alongside him. He obviously picked the likes of Captain America. He also picked the likes of Black Cat, who he'd fought alongside throughout the series prior, but then he also ended up picking some of the X-Men as well, which was of course really interesting. And it's not like these two shows just reference each other because they came out around the same time. No, these literally take place within the same continuity. They've crossed over multiple times. We know for a fact that these two are in the same universe. Now, in the new X-Men 97 teaser trailer, which heavily references the events of the original show, does actually have a shot at the start of the trailer where a Daily Bugle newspaper flashes on the screen. And of course, with the Daily Bugle comes Spider-Man characters, including Eddie Brock and Peter Parker. And not only did we get those two characters name dropped as well, we actually got Spider-Man himself name dropped in this trailer. Now, obviously, this is the 90s animated Spider-Man, because that is the Spider-Man of this universe. It is the Christopher Daniel Barnes Spider-Man. But why does this mean that basically this could be a chance for the 90s animated series to come back? Surely this is just a reference, right? But the thing that I would say to that is, if it's just a reference, they had so many other Marvel characters to reference. Like, for example, this is by Marvel Animation, as it's called now, which is obviously a subsection of Marvel Studios. Now, Marvel Studios owns pretty much 90% of all of Marvel characters now, including the X-Men, including Fantastic Four, including various other MCU characters that appeared before they owned the rights to other various Fox characters. But since the acquisition of Fox, Marvel and Disney have now inherited many other Marvel characters. In fact, they probably have most of the catalog of Marvel characters in history. So there is a huge backlog of characters to reference, and out of all the characters they decided to reference, they decided to reference the only other character who had a major show in the same universe, which was Spider-Man. They could have literally referenced anyone else, including Captain America. They could have referenced Iron Man, who we also know exists in this universe as well. They could have also referenced the Fantastic Four, who have also shown up in the Spider-Man 90s series as well. They could have referenced Doctor Doom. They could have referenced absolutely anyone, but they decided to reference Spider-Man, the only other character with a major show in this universe, despite all these other Marvel characters actually appearing in this universe at some point or another. They could have literally referenced anyone else, but they referenced Spider-Man, which I think is really interesting. And obviously, I think the revival of X-Men 97 is a talking point in itself. They were willing to revive a cult classic show for the fans that enjoyed it then, and for new fans to enjoy it now, continuing the same story with the same characters, obviously after the death of Charles Xavier. And Marvel and Disney felt like there were more stories to tell, even though X-Men 97 ended on a note where you could probably say the show could close off there and we probably didn't need another season. But Disney and Marvel felt like there were more stories to tell with these characters in this universe. And I think it's interesting mentioning that point, because the 90s Spider-Man show actually ended on a cliffhanger. It actually wasn't a very satisfying end, because Mary Jane Watson from the season prior was still missing. There was actually meant to be a season 6 where Peter and Madam Web would scour the multiverse looking for the lost Mary Jane Watson. There's even concept episodes out there of what Peter Parker would be getting up to. You can actually go and research them online. There actually are concept episodes episodes of what Season 6 would have been about. And I think it's really interesting because if X-Men 97 still has stories to tell, then the 90s animated Spider-Man series definitely has more stories to tell. So there's definitely another season in that show, and I definitely think it's interesting that if they are willing to bring back old animated series like the X-Men 97 series, and they are now referencing Spider-Man in that universe, then there is a big chance that potentially we could be getting a revival at some point down the line after X-Men 97 of the 90s animated Spider-Man show as well. However, the only thing that puts any doubt in my mind that this potentially is only just a reference and nothing more than that is the fact that they end up referencing Eddie Brock and Peter Parker. Now, the issue with this is that at this point in the universe's timeline, Eddie Brock actually isn't on Earth anymore. He's actually been sent across the multiverse. He was sent in a portal and doesn't actually exist in this universe anymore at this current point in time. So there's no way that Eddie Brock could have written this article as the newspaper actually claims. Now, this could be a mistake, a continuity mistake. Someone might have just thought, oh, it'd be cool to reference Eddie Brock and Peter Parker because they exist in this universe, and didn't actually realize that Eddie Brock isn't actually in that universe anymore. That could just be a continuity error, but it also could mean that it maybe just is a reference, and maybe they haven't deeped it so much. Maybe it is just a reference. Maybe it is just something that someone thought would be cool to include because they were a part of the same universe. Maybe we are looking too much into this. But yeah, Eddie Brock does not exist within this universe at this current point in time, and we know that is a fact. X-Men 97's revival will be the latest and most recent thing to happen in that universe's continuity, which means it will happen after Eddie Brock goes to another universe or is sucked into a different dimension, wherever he is. However, it could be a simple explanation also that maybe this is a scene that is set before the events of that happening in that universe, or potentially even Eddie Brock somehow got out of the portal and somehow has returned to his own universe. Who knows? There could be multiple explanations for this. It could be a reference, it could be set before, it could be a flashback, Eddie Brock somehow maybe returned and got out. There are multiple explanations to this. We don't have any concrete evidence as to any of those explanations as of right now. However, it could be any of them. But either way, that is pretty much it for today's news. It is really, really crazy that we are talking about a potential revival of the 90s animated show. I think the only thing that's really holding it back is Spider-Man Freshman Year. Unfortunately, I'm really excited for that show. But because there's already a Spider-Man show happening, this could possibly be the only reason why 90s animated Spider-Man doesn't get made. Just because there might be two Spider-Man things clashing. But either way, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.